out tomorrow.
Yeah, that's why I have this. Okay, I understand
You
now.
guys know what I mean.
I understand.
Someone
what you're
bring
saying.
a sticker.
Right.
So
yeah.
Patrick Beja is a
buy sticker
podcaster
tonight.
who makes regular appearances on our shows, including TNT. You're regular on
Yeah.
TNT. We've had you on Twit many times.
I think you were on Forecast.
I was.
Current Geek Weekly. I think you've been on pretty much.
I'm not even sure I did Current Geek, but if
No?
I didn't, I'm going to talk to Scott.
You should.
Yes.
Frame Rate.
I haven't. We were talking about it with Tom a few weeks ago, and we were wondering why I hadn't been on Frame
Yeah,
Rate.
because you do a movie podcast, a very good movie
Absolutely.
podcast.
Thank you.
That's kind of the same subject that Frame Rate covers.
So, total friend of Twit. I'm
Absolutely.
so glad you came by because there's so many of the remote guests that Skype into all of our shows on a regular basis, and I feel like I know everybody, but it's rare that I get to meet you.
It's so strange, you know. It's the first time we actually meet in person.
You've
you
never
and I.
met?
No. And it feels like, you know, if I've had this happen a few times already, not even speaking with people. It's so strange that medium podcast that we're into, because you listen to someone doing a show and they're so natural, they're so authentic that after listening to them for, you know, a few months, you feel like you know them. And if they listen to you, they feel like they know you too.
Exactly.
So I've actually come across people that I had never met that I was surprised to realize I had never met before.
Right.
Because you feel like you've hung out with them so much.
Exactly. Even if we hadn't been on the same show before, it was just meeting, you felt like you know them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the real strength of podcasting compared to traditional media, which is people who listen to the shows we do feel like they're part of a band of friends, right? So this is something that I really want to continue with the podcasts we do. And
You've done very well. You must be among the top podcasts in France.
in France, yeah. I mean,
the Phileas Club, Movalicious.
right. Le Rendezvous Tech, and Upload, which I do with these two gentlemen and another one. So basically, what we did a year and a half ago or so, we got together all of my friends who were also doing podcasts. We got together and created that NoWatch.net network. And now we are sort of, with our own little means, trying to be a mashup of mini Twit and mini Revision 3. So we basically copy everything you guys do.
Good.
And do it in French.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
I think that's great.
Very happy about the way things have been going.
That's great.
Yeah.
A mini Twit in France.
Mini Twit. So Le Rendezvous Tech is a roundtable. You guys sit around and talk. Tell me a little bit about that.
Basically, we get, well, you know, it's the Twit model. We get people from the French tech world. Loïc has been on a couple of times. Cédric is on very often. And we just discuss the tech news and try to sort of present it in a way that will allow people to know what's happening without having to go through every blog every day 15 times, you know?
Right.
Well, it also has the French perspective. So you could say, oh, it's a Twit model, but of course, not only are you different people sitting around the table, but there's a different, I would assume that your take on a lot of these stories would have a different angle simply because they're different places.
Of course. We cover things always with the grain of salt of being French and having our own perspective. And we also cover, obviously, things that happen in Europe maybe a little bit more than you guys would.
Sure.
We have very active, let's say it like this, active discussions about things like the Hadopi law and the 3 strikes rules and things like that.
Well, very close to home.
Yeah. And this is something that is a little bit unnerving for us because it seems that in the U.S., to an extent, the government sort of is closer to what's happening in the tech world than it would be in France. I know, President Sarkozy is trying to I don't know if it's to make it seem like he's interested or if he's actually interested.
Well, in fact, he's was one of the first candidates, I think, in France to use social media. That's how Loïc Lemer got involved with him. He helped work on his campaign as a social media strategist.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, I mean, that's a big step forward.
Absolutely.
But you say it might be lip service.
Well,
he's not got the best reputation about the internet itself.
Yeah, I know that, that famous conference a few years ago at the EG8, a few months ago,
And Jeff Jarvis stood up and said, will you take the pledge to do no harm?
And he was a little bit hesitant to respond in that.
But I don't think he expected the question is probably the problem.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But you know, the thing is, for something like SOPA that happened in the US, you got enough people to speak up, you know, regular people and industry leaders.
87,000 people from Tumblr alone.
Exactly. To speak up and say, this is a really bad idea. And in France, we have two different communities, or one community, which is the internet community, who knows that the three strikes law is technically not possible to implement properly, and a bad idea altogether, you know, to cut off internet access. But we don't seem to be able to reach the ones who will make the decision ultimately. So there's a little bit of frustration there. Yeah, but overall, we have these kinds of discussions all the time, and it's very important.
Is it a fairly tight-knit community in France? I mean, it's a big country, but it seems like you all know each other.
Yeah.
Is that the case?
You know, to the same extent that I think you guys all know each other.
Yeah.
In the Silicon Valley is a smallish space.
It's a small area, yeah.
In France, you have mostly Paris, but a couple of people here will be very angry if I don't mention other, you know, the fact that there are other parts of France that are active too. But in that way, yes, I think we're very tight-knit. We all know each other. We like each other quite a bit, which is, I think, a little bit different in the podcasting world from the blogging world, where, you know, in blogs you...
Is everybody at everybody's throat in the blog world?
Sorry?
Huh? No, he's a blogger, right?
Yeah.
Everybody hates everybody else in the blog.
But he's also a podcaster. He does a very interesting podcast in French about the jobs in the tech world, trying to explain to the developer community or tech community, professional community, what those new and different jobs are. He did a show on SEO recently.
I think it's a very good idea.
It's really interesting. Yeah. So, and you know, I really think that might be my bias, but I really think that France, as a country, this is a little bit of what you were discussing with Cédric earlier, has an active tech community and tech mindset. I look at so in podcasts and the tech world in general, most of it is English, right? Anglo-Saxon. You have, you know, the US mainly, of course, but then the UK and Australia. And you hear news about all this. But then if you go to other countries, maybe a little bit of it is, I feel, France. You don't, maybe I'm wrong, but you don't have guests from Spain or Germany, right? You have a few guests from France, Cédric, Loïc.
That's just because you guys came to us.
Yeah, but why didn't other people from other countries come to you?
Yeah.
My theory is that in France we are indeed very active, and for all the crap we give each other, you know, between Americans and French, and you know, we have a little bit of friendly debates from time to time. We're actually very close in that respect, in our love of tech and our will to go forward in that direction.
Yeah.
Well, you certainly feel that way when you're at something like
LeWeb',
that way,
because
everyone just wants to talk and meet and talk about what they're working on, and it's a very it's not a cutthroat atmosphere at all in any way. But I don't feel like the podcast sensibility is like that. I'm sure there are some podcasts who are fiercely competing with one another, but as far as the tech community goes, I mean, we would never compete with you because you help us make our shows better, you know, and vice versa. It's like it's all the bigger pot of knowledge that we can all use from each other.
Maybe it will change, but at this point, there's definitely enough space for everyone. And it feels like that. So that's something that I admired a lot in the English podcasting world. And one of the reasons why I started getting with my fellow French podcasters, it felt like a community of friends, and you were all on each other's shows and inviting people. And so that's something that we didn't want to lose, and I think we managed to preserve it for now.
That's great. Well, we thank you for your host and your hospitality here in France. It's always fun to come and meet all our friends from France, and it's great to see you again.
Patrick Beja.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick
Good
Beja.
to have you here.
And again, I love the name, the No Watch Network. It's nowatch.com?
It's nowatch.net.
.net.
Yeah, it started at No Watch TV as a sort of a jab to TV. And then we converted it because we also have audio shows.
You have video now? No.
We have video and audio. So, Yeah, an alternative to traditional media.
No
Watch.net.
Yeah, no Watch.net.
Yeah.
And of course, Patrick also has a lot of English language shows
Yeah.
like the Phileas Club, which are great, really great shows.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
I have
you
to
very
come
much.
on again. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Patrick.
Thank you.